Thanks for emails this morning asking, hey, we can't make it. Can you record it? And I always forget. So thank you. All right. I want to screen share because I want to show you guys a couple of things. This is what we've kind of talked about before about creating conversation with people and finding a way to talk about. I think it's important to keep yourself educated and up. These are the things that you will be able to talk about. So if you go into, if you have RE Colorado or if you have Iris, there might be something like this as well, but in RE Colorado, so cross property stats. So I do a lot of Thornton area. So, and a lot of my buyers that I'm working with are kind of looking in these areas and trying to get it. So I like to run reports here. So I go to customers of data. And a couple of the statistics that I like to look at are close price to list price ratios. You can also look at like one of the things I just ran this report and I grouped them by month. But I'm a client. Average close price. And I want you guys to take a good look at this because this is really of what the market is doing right now and understanding why contract in November, December, or October when it was still a pretty hot market, maybe why you're unable to get them under contract now. And so if you just mouse over, the close price was $454. Okay. In January, it went to increase, which is a 3% increase. From December to January went 3%. Okay. That's another almost 3% increase. And then it went from 470, that's like a 6% increase, 7% increase from the previous month. 454 up to 508 is a $54,000 increase, or original kind of starting point. We've had more than a 10% increase in our market price average for properties sold in Westminster, Northland, Thornton, Broomfield. Our market is up over 10%. That is massive, almost incomprehensible. And that if this pace were to continue, people would get significantly priced out of the market within months. See, April's a little bit lower, but because we don't have much data for April, so that's why we don't really use it. It's fair to be like, oh, things are smoothing out. No, because we've only got 7 days worth of data, worth of closing. It's really not a good data point. So the point here is just to understand, you know, a kind of a slower and even market through winter. You know, our peak that we normally start to see in April and May started much earlier. 3% increase in market value per month month. So people that are waiting to purchase, I'll say a $400,000 home, $1,000 in equity per month. There's no way to outsave this market. So people that are thinking, oh, sign of it changing anytime soon, because if we just go back over and we go, well, let's look at active listings. I mean, come on, this is crazy. Just buyer's market, or I'm sorry, seller's market last May, we had 1,000 listings in May. 18 listings in March, with 1/5 the inventory that we have. These numbers are very telling of what's kind of going on to get these numbers to climb back up as the year goes on. I don't know how much worse somewhere here in November and December. But the reality here is, with mortgage rates starting to kind of plateau and still be in a really difficult for people to afford homes as we move forward. No, you should just be really aggressive right now and try to get something. Because if you don't get something, one other statistic that I look at is this ratio. And this will give you a good idea of maybe why you're not is not as volatile of a chart. But if you look, I mean, even since last list price, at least in these North Denver metro areas, 100%, 100%, 100%. Everything a little bit, 100.2 in December, 101, 102, and April's up to 104.3. So on average, homes are closing 4.5%. And an average listing, let's say a $400,000 property, on average, it's going to, your client is wanting to put in a full price offer. It's just not isn't. And if I were to actually remove, let's see if we can go back and remove a couple of data points down, is things like new builds. So if you were to go like, hey, let's get rid of and or close at list price, because that's the contractual obligation from the, let's see if that changes anything. Getting rid of new builds bumps it a little bit from 104.3 to 104.4. The amount that homes are being sold for over list price is really significant. Is pulled up significantly by, here's a good example. My wife and I actually on Saturday. Yeah. On Saturday, big time, by the way. But this property went for $200,000 over list price.
Sometimes I break that out based on the home price goes in, but the I think it's like the 3 or 350 to 10-11% over asking.
Yep. So if we change this to 300 to port for that. 5. Again, if we probably even dropped it lower under 600,000, like to 500,000. He's like the really aggressive range.
But yeah, it's interesting. You can actually sort it on the left by
Yeah.
you can look at it all at once.
There's a lot of different stuff. So guys, use this tool. My point is use this to your sellers to show them so they can kind of get an understanding in the market they're looking and you know, so you can put in their data. So like I got a lot of people right now looking and they're looking, they really can't even afford Broomfield. So let's get, and they're not doing a new build. And here's the other thing, like if you take out and you say, you know, single family, multifamily, still, so, you know, people have to be ready to go and let's even close price averages. Again, you can see that to, well, again, we don't have good data for April. We don't have a ton of data, less than 100 listings a month. So it's not great data set. But anyway, pull these data and then just kind of keep them in the back of your mind so that when you're talking to people, again, when you're talking to people, just about really it's kind of in your mind. And this is what, you know, you can kind of bring up organically in conversation because people crazy right now. Yeah, I've seen, I had a friend that was trying to buy and they said it's so hard. And then you can throw a stat at them, knowledgeable about the, you know, about the, going to give them, you know, it's going to give you a better opportunity moving forward when they want to know some more information about the market, knowledgeable about the market, want to call you. So, you know, it's good to just kind of keep up with this data on average for 5% more than list price, you know, average days on market, stuff like low. I mean, look at this. Look, basically, nothing makes it past the first weekend. Nothing makes it, the average is that it doesn't even make it past 2 weeks. And now that's just insane. This data is insane. So keep this in mind, you know, when you're, and one of the things that I'm using this for right now, this might be a little bit more difficult for instance and aren't doing a lot of business because one of the things I'm using charts like this appointments, why they should use me and not you guys, for example. What I'm doing, look, if you don't have somebody that's doing a lot of business, somebody that's doing, you know, that's you're making a grave error in your choice in agent. The market is moving, changes are happening so rapidly that if you're choosing an agent that maybe has only done one deal, there's no understanding or comprehension of what the market really is like right now because it's changing, so we're seeing movement. I mean, like if you comp a house today to 3 weeks from now, you're gonna miss your mark big time. That has never been us out and be fine. Now you're gonna miss 2 to 3% market growth significant. So, you know, again, you want to spin this data to benefit you the way you're. I am using it to say, hey, you need an experienced agent, someone that's done however many a year. This is why you want to use me. I understand the current market, blah, 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 blah. Okay, data to enhance your knowledge about the market and you know, get PV or understand that you are following the market and you understand what it takes to get under contract of what the market is right now for your buyers, for example. Like, why do I have to make sense? Okay. Anybody have any questions on these, or anybody want to see any different?
So Nick, Info Sparks that you can use. Have you used that?
I used Info Sparks. I just use this, but yeah, I have not. I don't have any extra.
It's the same data. I just wondered. I mean, but I mean, they really drill down into specific areas. Can you use this to strictly on the data?
You can grab like if you want to grab certain areas, yeah, you can.
Okay.
Search portal for somebody. You can go in here and put parameters. So if I have people that are looking in a certain area, so they want to be, they're okay with being in this part of Thornton. They want to be like North Thornton. So you know, you could grab data. Let's go. They don't want to be anywhere. Say they, you know, so you could do something like that and just use that map, and then you can get rid of your that. I'm going to change my thing here, but let's take a look. So if we get rid of like Old Thornton, for example, you know, but still same thing, 333 to 358, almost a 10%, almost a 10% in 3 months. Really significant. The thing that you got to be careful. I mean, we've got 12 months worth of data here, but we only have 564 listings. You can see that at the problem with something like this is there's just not enough data based on the amount of data points. So like, for example, we didn't really have this big dip from December to January. We actually had a pop in, because what happens is, you know, we just, you know, every other month we had some reason in January, probably, you know, because they would have gone under contract over Christmas. They don't sell over Christmas. Those people take their home off the market, you know, during that Christmas. A good representation of what is actually there, just because one, you know, we only have potentially less than 50 data points per month here. Really sway these, could really move them in a different direction. So
yeah. Number of transactions in those months as well, and you can see probably
that's right, whatever whatever you like. And that's what I like about this is you can really and run very specific statistics if you'd like. But properties, guys. So if you have a listing, for example, that is coming up where you don't have any relative comps for the last, say, because right now when you're comping property sold in the last 30 days, outside of that, if you've got stuff that you have to put in market appreciation. You can't just go like, oh, so this is your price. You've got to go in and use the statistics. And for example, like do Denver Metro. Let's just do all of Denver. This chart and kind of go, okay, we've seen, X amount of appreciation from now. And like I said, depending on where you're at, that could be really significant. Right? Like talked about, we're up almost 10%. So if you're using a comp from January or from 80, you need to add almost 40 grand to that. So you need to go, okay, and now that, so use this statistics section to do, just understand where you need to price something from a selling standpoint or where you need. Okay. And you can use this data for, appraisal rebuttals. Appraisal rebuttals is pretty much almost exclusively using statistics. Hard to argue like using other comps. Usually the appraisers are pretty good at picking decents in there right now. And so the reality is if from an appraisal standpoint, like if somebody's using a comp, like I said, more than 30 days old and not putting some type of error in their valuation of the property. All right. Last chance. Anybody have anything specific they want to talk about? Anything that's come up for them in the last week or so they wanted to talk about?
For offers, when we're putting in offers for buyers, as far as like a tight timeline, can we talk? Having the inspection within the first week is critical, but the can those be the same day? Just I'm trying to think, put together, and which ones you want to keep separate in a way. So like due diligence and together. Is that something you're able to share with us? I don't know if it's
Yep. Let's let me pull one up here. I'll pull up a contract. That's a great thought. Because your features of an offer right now, I'll show you stuff that I'm writing up. Let me get this put up on this. Okay. Okay, so here's a recent one that I did. So first, okay, so this is moving. This is quick, and then an auto dating deadline like template. Have you guys set up templates for so that you don't have to put in the individual dates every time you do a contract?
Yes, I mean, I have. It's just, when you get similar to yours, and it's, essentially what the title company gives you, like a standard, like, to inspect, but, for a competitive offer for
Yeah.
something like,
But
3 weeks, that's,
this is one stone here. Let me show you guys how to create a template, because this will save you guys a ton of time. So like I can write contracts in 5 minutes. For those of you that are brand new and have like up to 2 hours writing a contract, like I did when I first started, like it's awful. Part of it's because you get all your templates set up. So let's talk about an auto dating templates in here. I've got a 2-week sale contingency. So that contingency is essentially, don't use this right now because we're not doing anything contingent. But hey, you're going to give a contingency. Here's the specific, very specific 30-day close conditional sale. I've got a backup offer. I've got a cash sale, which is generally like a 10 to 14, very particular about the way that you write up offers for them. So I created a template. So let's create a new template. Let's do like a quick, let's do a quick close, like a 21 day. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to click that button that says create new. You're going to create a new template name. So let's go 21 day quick close. Okay, so on your 21 day quick close, what you're going to change your contract date and your closing date. Okay, so what we're going to do is, because I know, like, if I'm a listing agent, you send me an MEC contract, I'm going to tell, okay, because MEC is goofy and it's confusing. So there's only a couple things. Okay, earnest money, if you want to be aggressive with your earnest money, you should submit earnest money as quickly as possible. Okay, but if you want to make your contract look a little bit better, you can change it to, you can do it within 2 days. Talk to your buyer and be like, hey, are you good? Can you make it to the title company tomorrow if we get this accepted? Okay. Record title and objection deadlines. So these can line up. Okay. So generally speaking, my title deadlines, I usually give an objection on the 10th. Okay. And so that's going to be the same for each of the title. And again, tight title deadlines is not going to really strengthen your offer that much. It's like are really, pretty slim. Okay. Resolution is going to be maybe the day or maybe 2 days after that. Okay. So those are my title deadlines. So 9 days with a 10-day objection, an 11-day resolution. Okay. Give me a thumbs up. You guys all good with that? Very rare. So anything that we have in here that's kind of a rare usage. The thing is so now the radial that we're going to choose is contract. So this is, so it's the day you write the contract. So just know that if you write a contract on a fence until a Monday, just know that your title deadlines are then actually really 7 days, dates, not MEC. Okay, so that's why I give 9 to 10 days. Title can get their work in 7. I give 9 or 10 days. It gives those 2 to 3 extra days of us going through that negotiation. Okay. Association documents deadline. Okay. I use on your association. Some associations take forever to get docs, so you may just have to amend this. The reality with the association documents is it's really on the seller to get them to you. So I'll give them like 9 days. It's essentially a week from the time you're going under contract, of days to review them. So 2 days to object. Property disclosure, I always align with the inspection because I think like a little bit quicker depending on, and I from a template step, but if I feel like there could be any issues with the house, maybe the house is in kind of SPD a little bit quicker so that my client doesn't spend money on a major problem on the SPD. But outside of that, I'm going to put it basically in line with the, okay. So for me, it's 7 days, and these are going to be tight deadlines. Okay. So generally Sunday night or Monday morning right now, everybody's waiting, taking offers through the weekend. So objection deadline is going to be the following Saturday. So it's like 5 days. So that's pretty tight. Inspected within the same week. Okay, that's how I tighten up deadlines. So the seller's property. So let's kind of scroll down and get that one knocked out at the same time. So again, from contract. So we're going to go down in days. Again, from the day you write the contract. So we write this on Saturday. Want to edit these a little bit, but I write most of my contracts on Saturday or Sunday. Okay. Inspection termination is the same day as the objection, because generally I know when I write this, I'm going to try to set up to push dates off of weekends and deadlines. So if it falls on a Sunday, I think it actually resolution, we're going to give a couple of days for that. So generally my objection is on the following Saturday. Resolve. Okay, so if Saturday is 7 days, you're going to have 10 days to if you wanted to, but it gives them a little bit of time to resolve. So that's your inspection deadlines and your property disclosure. There's lead-based paint. I line that one up as well. Okay. 3, but the reality is you should clear that out. In Act 12, you can see on the contract I have up there, it says new loan application deadline. Okay, so if your client has already gone through a new loan app, there should be no date there. It's already been completed. Does that make sense? Okay. Your new loan termination deadline. Okay, if this is a 21-day close, the amount of time that we might be on kind of going back and forth. So a 21-day close. So and you can see actually on closing date, they don't even have you just put the closing date up here, but I just do an MEC and do 21 days after MEC. And then same thing with possession. Post occupancy is going on right now, so that possession date may be different. So some of these dates you're gonna will be pretty straightforward. Okay, so property insurance along with the the inspection, by the way. So generally speaking, I probably have that out like 14. So generally I'm at 14 days. With this one, I'm aggressive at 7. Insurance stuff, you know, this first week, we're not going to terminate on insurance. I've never terminated on if the property is not in a floodplain, like it's going to be reasonably insurable. Same thing, like I believe that client, the seller, should have those due diligence, the inspection, and so we're going to have. I'll do is I'll actually be like, hey, you got to get it to me the day before the inspection. Okay. Resolution, same thing. I've never had, usually due diligence documents, there's you can't fix them, but okay. The other thing could be that you need to agree. Depending on how long it takes them to get solar documents and stuff from Excel and that kind of stuff. Normal due diligence documents that are just like warranty items for appliances and things like that. Environmental inspection, these are all commercial stuff, so you don't have to worry about those contingencies right now as much as possible. Lead-based paint termination. So again, we've got, I would put this at 7 days. Like, first of all, if your clients are going to terminate on lead-based paint, they shouldn't be in the first place. So if that's a concern of theirs, just don't even show them properties. Documents are commercial as well, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's move up. You probably, you don't need to worry about those, okay? And you can just determine the way you want to, there, I think it's Burke. I can't remember whoever does, he's very strict about putting annexes that you're not using. So you can determine how you want to do that. Hey, if we're not going to need an ILC, we're, you know, if it's, you're not going to need an ILC. Okay. So your appraisal deadline. This one is those appraisals got to happen really quickly. So like your lender should order that appraisal close. We usually wait until we get through inspection to order the appraisal, have an appraisal out there, and then have us terminate on inspection. And now either the lender or the client is on the hook. We're pretty much waiving all of our rights to terminate on inspection anyway with the appraisal process. So the appraisal, it's not a big deal to get it ordered right up front. Okay, you generally want to have the new loan term and be on the seller side. You want that sooner rather than later. If you want to protect your somewhere between 3 and 7 days. 3 days protects your buyer, 7 days protects the seller. Be On a 21-day close, maybe I'll fall somewhere in between and go 5 days. Appraisal deadline has to at least be before that. But Victor, to your kind of original question, they can. I would put them like, I would at least have 1 day offset and go through their final underwriting process. But once appraisal comes in, since that's a condition of the loan, underwriting, in-house underwriting doesn't have to take more than 24 hours. So we're, sorry, and this is not 5 days. It's a 21-day close. It's 5 days prior. So then going to be 14 days, okay, with a 14-day objection, because we'll get it back right away. Like we'll get it back on the 4th, and then an appraisal resolution by the next day so that it can get back into loan termination. Does that all make sense? Got a question?
Just to the earnest money as MEC, right?
That's right. So
Okay.
these ones, we're going to select these. So from the contract date. So if you write a contract on a Thursday, which happens right now, and they happen to sign that same contract that you wrote on Thursday, you're definitely going to be too tight. So just understand that. So this depends on when you write your contract. But the problem is like if you submit an MEC contract to me, I'm going to make you resubmit it with this. Understand right now, it's pretty easy, guys. Contracts, everything's going under contract deadlines based on that. So if you're going to write your contract 3 days earlier, then maybe extend these into you guys right now. Don't write contracts on Thursdays. You're just going to be your price. You submit a contract for $50,000 over list price and you think it's a great offer, just going to use that as a stepping stone and you're going to get beat. Start submitting contracts. It sucks, but it's just the way it is. Like I talked to an agent on Saturday night. And so I submitted on Sunday, talked to her Saturday night, submitted on Sunday. By Sunday evening, more offers come in between Saturday night and Sunday night. Because that's what people are doing. They're holding off because they want to be the last in, okay? But don't be first in. You're going to get beat. No existing loan, no loan transfer approval, no seller, buyer's credit. We're good, okay? And then your acceptance deadline, you're going to put that in. Don't put one in here. So once you have that done, so save and display, okay? And then you can actually see here your days from your contract date. It's going to show you your days here, like red if they'll populate in red. Just make it says check for weekends and holidays for all items, okay? And it'll put them up in red and be like, hey, just so you know, this thing's got a line, okay? I don't think this one's going to allow me to and the template is created at least, we're good. So let's do that. So I'm going to put up a new contract here now. Brand new contract. Okay. You're going to click on auto dating deadlines. Your window pops up here. You should be able to click on your template. There's my 21. So we click on the, or we make sure our contract date is correct. Okay. So we don't have to put in a closing because we've got it 21 days after MEC. But I know that we're probably not going to go under contract, if at all, if we're not going to go under contract till tomorrow, because Thursday evening, and we'll go under contract Thursday, then I'd probably set this up for a 22 day. So we'd probably go for 30. That's a 22 day or a 23 day close. Save and insert. And then you can go down here and you're going to see here under the closing date. That's why I usually in my templates just leave that blank, because I end up deleting it out of here anyway. Just to be determined on if you're doing a post occupancy or not. And then your acceptance deadline is going to be offers tomorrow at 5 p.m. Please give us an acceptance deadline of Thursday at 8 p.m. So it should look like that. Good. Any questions on that? Okay, so again, just to reiterate, quick turnaround times, quick turnaround dates. For instance, same week, since most properties are going under contract on a Monday or a Sunday the following Saturday. A standard 30 days, sometimes we're giving 9 to 10 days. That's 2 weeks. Yeah. If you've got somebody that's going to do basically full appraisal, get good about its appraisal at least over list price. Don't even have an appraisal. Just do your appraisal deadline and just completely remove action and resolution deadline. Whoops, not mine. It basically shows that you're not going to object to the HA or VA loans, but on conventional, you can absolutely do that. You're waiving your right to be able to terminate appraisal, no matter what it comes in at. But just understand there's still the catch-all behind it, right? Right? For some weird reason, you still have your new loan termination template. It didn't populate. Weird. What happened here? Oh, so there we go. That's why it didn't populate. There you go. Okay, so now we got new loan termination deadline in there. So again, keep objection and your appraisal resolution, you can still technically terminate on a new loan. Okay. Does that make sense? If your appraisal terms, right? And if it changes your financing terms and your buyer doesn't like it, pretty favorable buyer language. I think it's number 5 here. Fine, yep. So your new loan application, a new loan review, whole thing in all of the contract from a buyer standpoint. In a second. So 5.2, your new loan review. If buyer is to pay always except for on cash deals, this contract is conditional upon the buyer's subjective discretion, sole subjective discretion, including its availability, payments, interest rate, terms, conditions, and costs. That's a catch-all. Can terminate and get their earnest money back. Okay. Although anyway, in today's market, the next thing that's so if you offer up hard earnest money, then yeah, you're gonna lose that. What? The new loan termination deadline?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like as good as hard earnest money, essentially. I mean, because you can terminate even after the new loan termination deadline, you're just going to lose your earnest money. Unless you have specific performance checked down below, which would be you can't force somebody to buy a house if they can't do it, right? So, sorry, my computer's behind, so I'm scrolling down. 21.1. Seller may elect to cancel this contract and all earnest money will be paid and retained by the seller if the specific performance. You can't force a buyer to buy a house that they can't qualify to buy. So specific performance. So specific performance is default. We do have specific performance. You can force someone to sell a house. Specific performances. Okay, so in locks, because you can't put your buyer in that situation. You can't force a buyer to buy. That box should never be checked. But if the seller is in default, they can sue for and make them sell the house. Okay, so it's funny, as hard as it is to get, once they're under contract, this is a very buyer-friendly state. We're in a very buyerly, has no ability to terminate through the contract. The buyer can terminate like on 7 or 8 different on appraisal. They can terminate on inspection. They can terminate on due diligence. They can terminate on ILC. Like they can literally terminate so many different times, and the seller can't terminate. Does that all make sense? Vic?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just, when listing agents require timelines, I just don't know what I can, when I'm comfortable with as far as the loan termination date. If they're comfortable with it being the same day as the appraisal, at that point. But how do I communicate that with my, now I understand a little bit with my buyers what the risk is, I guess.
You know, I would just tighten up the appraisal. There's no reason to push the appraisal back that far. Potentially they're on the hook for paying for the appraisal if something even if something major risk, because I would tighten up the appraisal deadline, not the that's the biggest thing, is their risk is they might be on the hook for that. But even if the deal falls through too, as long as they're continuing as a client, they'll usually eat that fees. Pretty much all the deals I'm doing right now, appraisals being ordered day one, or like I went under contract on one on Monday. Appraisal was ordered this morning. So there's a possibility that that appraiser will reach out and try to, but yeah, so. Cool, yeah. Anybody else have any other questions on that? Hopefully, if you guys hadn't done a template before, you don't have to put in your dates and deadlines every time. Create yourself a couple of different templates, a 21-day close, that kind of stuff. So, but you're in-house people, their stuff in-house, they can close quick. They can close, by the way, those guys can close as quick as like close in 10 business days. So, I mean, it's, and that's A, the ability to get an appraisal back, and B, there's a hard line in finance, so that's the minimum they can do regardless. So if they can get an appraisal back quickly, underwriting will have all the loan docs and everything like that. All they're waiting for is appraisal to come back. So lenders can close, it has to be 10 days. So just know that if you need to get something done really quick, house stuff, if they're going outside and getting a loan through Quicken or something like that, use HMA, use in-house. These guys will get it done that quick. 17 day with them. 17 days gives them some breathing room. They're kind of like, okay, you know, it's not crazy fast. So, so just know that we can close.
Nick, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you say 10 days, is that 10 days from what?
MEC.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Thanks.
Yep. So that's when the lender gets the file and escrow gets opened. Title has to, as where the lender can really do much at all. So 10 days. And then, title needs quickly, which means your listing agent needs to make sure title docs are submitted immediately. A quick close like that, everything's got to be done really quickly. Title's got to get ordered immediately. What else? What other questions you guys have? This while we're in here, while we're already in CTM, let's do one more. Let me show you guys how to do one more template. All right. So if you're on your main screen of CTM, new contract, obviously you're clicking on create new. Okay. So I create. So if you guys haven't created a master template, this is what you should do. And this will help you disclosures, out of all these documents that are on here, what disclosures do my buyers need to create a template, and it's going to be in there. Okay. So let's create new master template. Okay. Select here, but let's create a new one. If you guys don't have any in there, you're going to create a new one. So create new master template. Current contract. So let's say, for example, let's do an exclusive right to sell. This is a right to sell. And then you're going to name it. So whatever you want to call it. So exclusive to sell. Okay. You're going to select the documents basically that you want to involve there. And the other thing is if you took the time to go through and create a nice listing agreement, you can actually select every time that you go in and use this, it has a well filled out contract created. In order to do this, this is another step we probably should have done, but I created here in my listing contracts, I have one called a template listing. It was a prior contract that I wrote specific for this. Okay. So contract, it's already going to have a lot of the data filled out for me in it. Okay. So if you just did a listing agreement and you know it's right because you checked it with your managing broker or what, and you're actually going to figure out, okay, when I do a listing contract, which disclosures do I need? Okay, I do. We've got, you can put lead-based paint in here if you want to, and then I can just delete it if the house doesn't need it. Okay. So you're going to conditions of seller. Okay. You need your seller's property disclosure. Right. We don't really, I let my title companies execute closing documents. Okay. We don't need any of the deeds of trust. We don't need accounters or amends or anything like earnest money. We don't need any addendums. Okay. You might need a source of water addendum. So I just make sure that they always put the water information in the seller's property disclosure. And then I don't need to forget to do it. You can always add the source of water addendum later. Okay. Forms are concerned that we really need. And then we've got some Remax Alliance forms. Right? Other stuff here. So we have a brokerage disclosure that we have to have, brokerage disclosure to seller. Okay. If you want to go ahead and do the protect your family, since you're already putting the other lead-based stuff in there. We don't have some Remax forms. So we need a new listing checklist, right? We also need an affiliated business arrangement disclosure, okay? Documents that you need when you do a listing. That's what you need right off the bat. So tell you that there's most of you probably in this room couldn't have right off the bat. Okay, if you're new agents, like I know I had to have it written down, or I had to I know, but I've always forgot what documents we needed. So those are the documents you need. Okay, one potentially EPA brochure if you need it. Brokerage disclosure under Remax Alliance. And then 4 disclosure or not, but lead-based paint obligations, seller's property disclosure, and square footage disclosure. Here, you can click Save this new template. Okay. And now, sorry, it says up top here, new Quick Start Master Docs package has been saved. Okay. Now, instead of things here, we can just check this box that says Quick Start. So mine was this new one that we just did is this one here that I already had. So exclusive right to sell, select all of those documents that we just decided we needed. It's got them all in there. And then you click the gray box up here, create. So once you create selected contract, which in this case is the exclusive right to sell, okay? And if you wanted to, you could create by copying an existing contract. So again, I had all my information filled out in here already. This list, I think I made this a couple years ago. So if I wanted to do something more relevant, I can just create by copying from existing contract. And I can take one of my most recent listing from March 2nd. So just put the new name in here. So let's just put once you, it is now going to put test contract, that's my person's name, into all, it's going to put them all in at the same time. Okay. And then the other thing, my new property in, so whatever that is, I'll obviously get rid of, you know, this list, new information here. Okay. And then save it again. And again, it'll save all the other disclosures. Okay. And then you're going to go through and you're going to fill out everything. I know that everything is going to be pretty similar. I just need to change the name period. Okay. But everything else is going to be really similar. Actually, sorry, a 6% sales commission. Okay, 2% goes to the buyer's agents, or they did a flat listing fee for one of my clients, so that was where I put the other compensation. So that's why I had 2.8%. Remax Alliance transaction fee. Okay. So everything chosen because I created a template off of it. Okay, it's got whatever broker marketing. Okay, We need to fill out obviously our price and terms if you can't. But this contract is just between you and your seller. It's not necessarily what goes, okay? What type of warranty deed that you're gonna, and this is your contract with your seller, and if there's any additional provisions, okay? And then once, shrink my sky, and now all of your stuff for test claims and everything will be in your disclosures. So you've got all these disclosures, and then remember the smart document found in docs management. So, okay, so these are your CTM contracts, but your list contract and your affiliated business are going to be under docs management. Okay, and okay, so that's how you create a template, everything that you need for each transaction. On your buy side, just for quick review, on your buy side in your template, or that you need for every transaction, you've got a contract to buy and sell. Okay, you should also have another brokerage relationship, your exclusive right to buy, if you want. Yeah, I don't do exclusive right to buys. Then you're going to have a brokerage disclosure to buyer, business arrangement. Okay, and you should have a buyer advisor. Buyer advisory in there. So those are your buy side documents. Questions?
COVID advisory to these. Are we still doing that? Yes.
Yeah. So I have not been doing the COVID one. So didn't have to do it, and then we had to do it. Ultimately, the last I knew of, it landed on we did by our office or by DORA to have in our file if your client wanted it. Like if your seller wanted to have all the buyers sign that, then you would. Oh, the last we landed on, unless I'm in non-compliance, but I've done 30 transactions or so since last year, so I haven't done it at all. Any other questions on that? Okay, so anyway, that would just be good practice for you guys to go in and create something that you can copy from. And you can create a template contract of each one too. Just create the buy contract itself and fill out all your template. You could do that, and then that way your parent contract would pull that template. It would have everything already done, because there's a lot of stuff in there, right? When you're doing a let's see here, when you're doing a purchase contract, contract to buy and sell, here we go. So when you're doing a purchase contract, same on every transaction, right? So, when you go down here, you're kind of doing the same stuff every time. So you can kind of fill these out. Like I always have, okay. Your party should pretty much always have a available contingency situation, but otherwise they should have funds here that you're not going to need, or that you're going to always use, like the car. So I select these things knowing that they don't have to change. This except on cash deals, a lot of times on cash deals, the buyer will select. I pretty much always have the seller pay for it. Now I might have the buyer pay for it. Just it's $75 and it's something cheap. Don't have to worry about ILs. Under other documents and information, under due diligence, 10.6 point that box, and I always bring up this clause. If I can find it here. So it's the due diligence clause. And that's the one that just says, hey, if they have any of these documents, building receipt, repairs, copy of permits, inspections, surveys, insurance claim goes in there. I've never done a property. Well, actually, I've done one property with a well, so I just make sure to change that, obviously. But generally speaking, closing instructions are pretty much never done with the contract. So I always just put listing agent. Part doing special warranty deeds. Closing services, standard buyer. Status letter, generally paid for. Record change fees are generally paid for by the buyer. Again, in our really competitive market, local transfer tax, rarely is there a local transfer tax. So for fees, might come from HOAs, but a lot of times there's none. So they're the seller. Water transfer fees, again, kind of rare that there's water, have the buyer pay for that. Very rare that there's sales and use tax, especially on residential. Rare that we have FERPTA, rare that we have Colorado withholding. So we're always prorating based on the most recent mill levy. So that radial dial is going to get, not often that we're writing contracts on tenant occupied properties. I actually received. And then association assessments, this one has to be seller. Special assessment assessed prior to closing. Sorry, not by law. It's generally will make a special assessment be paid in full by the seller before they. Other prorations, final settlement. I have a standard for not giving up possession. Date, I do not extend deadlines. So if it falls on a Sunday or a holiday, it's no check boxes through here. We're never checking specific performance. forward. I suppose at this point in time, you could probably put a couple additional provisions, stuff like that. But so hopefully that gives you an idea of like a template for a buy contract check, so that you make sure you don't miss them, you know, moving forward. Created this, you could save this as a template, so you could do, you know, side template or something like that, whatever you're going to recognize, and you can save it. And then that way, now moving forward, anytime you go to create a copy underneath the date, you can click copy from existing contract, and you can copy. Does that make sense? On that? Well, if we're good there, I think we'll call it for the day. That was like stuff, but I think it's really important because this is a huge time saver for you guys. Get your temp and a lot easier. So, and you won't have to make it as many, you know, then if you're having to, you know, submit to your hold of them or something like that, like it's just easier to reach out. You can reach out to someone like me, and I can. So, by the way, I'm happy to help you guys. If you can't get a hold of your managing broker.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. All right, yeah, Mike, do you have something?
No, just thanks a lot. Appreciate it. That's great information. A lot
Awesome.
of,
Well, good. Well, hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and let me know if you guys need anything. I'll again next week, and I'll put this recording up online and send it to you. What boxes we're checking or what we're putting in different spots. You'd be able to review. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Take care, guys.